Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome everyone, 欢迎大家. Look, if you're prepping for the CELPIP exam, specifically the writing section's task 1, you know that absolute sinking terror of staring at a blank screen while the clock is just ticking down. It's the worst, right? But what if you didn't have to guess what the examiners actually wanted? Today, we are cracking the code to secure that top-tier CLB 8 to 10 score. In this explainer, we've distilled 20 incredible high-scoring email examples from our source material into what we're calling a master key framework. And we'll be using bilingual instruction throughout this, mapping exact English phrases to their precise Chinese meanings so you can absorb these high-scoring building blocks immediately. Let's build your perfect toolkit.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the universal anatomy of an email, handling complaints and requests, the art of apologies, how to master the Canadian context, gratitude and invitations, and then wrap up with some absolutely crucial high-score strategies.
Section 1, the anatomy of an email. This is the universal master structure forming the backbone of every single one of those 20 high-scoring examples.
Now, memorizing this 5-step flow literally entirely eliminates blank page anxiety. You'll never have to wonder how to start again. Step 1 is your greeting, 问候. Step 2, you immediately state your purpose, 表明目的. No beating around the bush here. Step 3 is where you provide the specific details of your situation, 提供细节. Step 4 is the call to action, 明确诉求, telling the recipient exactly what you want them to do. And finally, step 5 is your sign-off, 结尾致辞. Honestly, mastering this exact sequence is your first major leap toward a CLB 9 or 10.
Moving on to Section 2, complaints and requests. We're going to look at the precise vocabulary you need to complain or ask for things effectively without sounding too aggressive or too timid.
Just consider this really powerful opening sentence pulled straight from a high-scoring restaurant complaint essay. I am writing to express my profound dissatisfaction with. Notice how, instead of just saying, I'm angry, using profound dissatisfaction, 强烈的不满, demonstrates a command of complex, formal vocabulary. It perfectly conveys deep unhappiness, but keeps it in a highly professional tone. It immediately shows the examiner you have real range.
Another incredible phrase from that exact same essay is blatantly ignored. The writer complains that the waiter blatantly ignored their requests for water refills. This translates to an open, unashamed disregard, 公然无视. Using an adverb-adjective combination like this acts as a perfect high-score modifier. It doesn't just say the service was bad, it paints this vivid, precise picture of exactly how bad it was.
But notice the crucial shift in tone when we move from complaining to requesting. When you're asking your boss for a leave of absence or, say, a project extension, you can't be demanding. Pay close attention to these polite, highly tentative grammatical structures. If possible, I would like to, or would it be possible to? The source material really highlights how you must reassure the recipient, using phrases like, I assure you that this will not negatively affect our current project. It's this delicate balance, being super clear but highly respectful, that examiners are actively looking for.
All right, Section 3, the art of apologies. I really need you to pay close attention here because this category contains one of the absolute biggest CELPIP traps, failing to adjust your tone based on who you're actually writing to.
And this perfectly illustrates that trap. When apologizing to a boss for a delayed report, you need formal corporate language, right? Things like, please accept my sincere apologies and I take full responsibility for this oversight. But if it's an informal apology to a friend, 无事要道歉, you completely shift gears to, I feel terrible that, or I absolutely want to make things right. Switching appropriately between these tones is strictly graded. You absolutely must train your ear to know exactly when to sound like a corporate professional and when to sound like a caring friend.
Here's a great example. To elevate an apology for a torn, borrowed camping tent, the writer says, I know this tent holds sentimental value for you. Adding this specific phrase, acknowledging its kinyechachi, is a total game changer. It injects a rich layer of emotional authenticity and empathy right into the essay. You aren't just replacing a piece of nylon, you're acknowledging their personal feelings. This kind of nuanced, empathetic vocabulary is exactly what pushes a score straight into that 9 to 12 range.
Let's look at Section 4, Canadian Context Suggestions. This is a secret weapon for the CELPIP exam that so many test takers completely overlook.
Remember, the CELPIP is a Canadian test. Examiners love to see that you understand the local environment. In essays 14 and 6, when suggesting a vacation, the writer doesn't just broadly say, go to the mountains. No, they specifically mention Banff National Park, Lake Louise, and the Icefields Parkway. They even throw in very local advice like pack layers because the weather is unpredictable.
When asking for a recommendation letter, they specify the Master of Data Science program at the University of Toronto. Weaving in this specific local flavor signals strong cultural familiarity and makes your essay stand out immediately.
But again, when giving those tips or suggestions, the tone rubric strikes again. Writing to the City Council to suggest park renovations? That requires strong, formal language. Therefore, I strongly urge the Council to allocate funds. But if you're just giving interview tips to a buddy, you switch back to an encouraging, informal tone. First and foremost, make sure you thoroughly research. Always ask yourself, who am I talking to before you write a single word?
Let's move to Section 5, Gratitude and Invitations. Whether you are thanking a colleague for covering a shift or inviting someone to a party, structure is quite literally everything.
Structural awareness is the key. If you're inviting a guest speaker to an entrepreneurship conference, you'd write, "On behalf of the local business association, I am honored to invite you." But if you're inviting a buddy to a housewarming pizza party at your new downtown apartment, you'd say, "I'm super excited to announce and would be absolutely thrilled if you could come." Again, nailing the appropriate tone is non-negotiable for a high score.
I highly recommend you memorize this excellent sign-off. It's from a thank you email where the writer is thanking a colleague for covering a shift during a medical emergency. I am always here to return the favor should you ever need assistance in the future. This is a fantastic plug-and-play conclusion, that works beautifully for almost any professional thank you email. It leaves a polite, supportive, and highly professional final impression on the grader.
Finally, Section 6, High Score Strategies. Now that we've walked through those specific scenarios, let's zoom out and summarize the overarching structural tricks from all 20 of these master essays.
To guarantee logical flow, you absolutely must use transition words, or connectors, logi linkage verbs, words like initially, furthermore, consequently, and that brilliant phrase, to make matters worse. You can't just list sentences randomly. The grading rubric strictly demands logical flow. These connectors are the glue that holds your ideas together, seamlessly guiding the examiner from your opening complaint all the way down to your proposed solution.
So, what does this all mean? The crucial takeaway is this: success on the CELPIP Task 1 isn't about natural writing talent. It is entirely about preparation and using the right frameworks. By mastering the anatomy of an email, adjusting your tone for the recipient, sprinkling in specific Canadian context, and gluing it all together with strong transition words, you are practically guaranteeing a higher score. So I'll leave you with this. Which of these master key frameworks will you use to conquer your next CELPIP blank page?